Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry we're starting a few minutes late. Welcome. My name is Julia Kline. You are here for the secret to how to get more clients and leads, a spiritual and tactical approach. We're going to be bringing these two things together to have an entirely different way of looking at the sales blockages that you may be experiencing up until now. So if that's what you are here for, that's what you tuned in for, you're in the right place. Just a few technical notes. There is a set of comments. Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry we're starting a few minutes late. Welcome. My name is Julia Kline. Okay, there we go. Great. So I have the video playing live myself, so that I can watch your comments as they come through. So you will see on the left-hand side, actually on the right-hand side, I'm going to leave a comment. And I see that Ruth, hello. You have already signed in. Jen, great, you've signed in as well. Fantastic. So what I was saying is that those of you who are joining, please make a comment on that side of the video, which I guess is the right side of the video. Please enter your name. Tell me a little bit about who you are, so I know who's here watching. And what else? Oh yes, if we're learning about these technical challenges because this Google Hangout is a little bit of a new system. Not everybody is familiar with how to use it. So if you are unable to leave a comment, if you can't hear, part of the problem might be that you need to be signed into your Google account or your YouTube account. So make sure that you're doing that. Also, just as a side note, there is a delay. So when I'm speaking live, it takes about a minute, maybe a little bit longer, depending on the bandwidth going through Google at any moment in time, for you to hear what I'm saying. So at several points during the broadcast today, I'm going to ask you to give me feedback. And the way that you do that is by typing comments into the comment thread to the side of the video. And when I see your comments come through, then I'll answer them here on the video. But keep in mind, again, that when I ask for you to say things, then I have to sort of riff and tell a joke or two while to wait for you to hear my request for comments so that you can bring them in. So, and like I said, we've got a bunch of people watching us live here this morning. That's fantastic. I'm excited about that. And I can't wait to share with you the secret to getting more clients and leads from by blending a spiritual and tactical approach together. And I love it that Jen, you were on last night's broadcast and you came back again and you're saying blame it on your dog. I don't know what that means. So if you wouldn't mind sharing in the comments with me and with everybody else what you got out of last night and what made you want to come back again this morning for a little bit more, that would be great. Also, please make sure that you have paper and pen in front of you because this is definitely an active, it's a workshop. I'm not just going to be talking at you. I want you to be thinking and doing things for yourself. And yes, I think that's all the technical, logistical things to get started with, other than the fact that I didn't bring myself a glass of water again today. So give me one moment, please, while I run next door and get myself something to drink, and I'll be right back in about 20 seconds, and we're going to get going. And please do take the time. Hi, Christina Johnson. I'm glad to see you. Yay. That's awesome that you're here. You're an artist, speaker, and a coach in LA, and so much more. But so the rest of you, please do feel free to introduce yourselves to one another. That's definitely one of the nice things about these events, that you all are intuitive business women, and we don't necessarily know a lot of people like us out in the world. So it's a great opportunity to say hi and get to know one another. So definitely do that in the comments as well. While I run to go get a glass of water real fast, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and I'm drinking out of my Wonder Woman cup. Do you guys have a? It's intended for little kids, obviously, but I think it's kind of cool to drink out of a Wonder Woman cup, make myself feel like I'm Wonder Woman. So, all right. So, I would like to get started this morning, as I almost always get started, and that is by invoking divine guidance. So, if you care to join me, take a moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath, connect with the present moment. I don't know about you, but I had all kinds of things going on in my morning already today, and my brain is scattered and all over thinking about all kinds of things. I'm sure that you are just the same. So take a moment now to let all those other things slide away for the moment. Shut down your email, close your Facebook. I know you girls, you're multitasking. I do the same thing when I'm on these kinds of things. I promise you, this is something you're going to want to focus and stay present for. And at least in this moment, as we are invoking our guidance, become present. I feel you all now, putting down your pens, closing your eyes. There we go. Excellent. Okay. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. Archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. I invite you to join us now. I also invite my higher council as well as my guardian angels. And the higher council and guardian angels of all who are now listening to this broadcast, as well as any who may listen to it in the future, to join us and be with us now. Anyone who is present, ready, willing, and able to be of assistance this morning. I also invite all beings who are coming from a place of pure love and light to join us here this morning to offer their support, their wisdom, their inspiration, their guidance, their love, their compassion. And any entities that are coming from a place of darkness or mischief, stay away. You are not welcome here this morning. Guardian angels and archangels help to ensure that that is so. And so it is. So I don't know about you, but I feel all this angelic divine presence now just sort of coating and enveloping my whole body, and it just feels wonderful. I invite you to feel the same and know that our divine guardians are with us and supporting us. I also will share with you that throughout the next hour and 15 minutes, however long this takes this morning, there certainly will be times when we are doing a very active practice and I'm having you write, or I'm actively sharing something that you've never heard before, and it's going to be very illuminating for you. And during those times, you will be quite engaged, you'll be writing, you'll be thinking, you'll be actively, present. And naturally, there will be times during this broadcast this morning that you will be thinking to yourself, I've heard this before, or for any other reason, you'll find that your mind starts to wander. And you might be tempted in those moments to start doing something else, work on your to-do list, or open up Facebook, or whatever. I invite you to not do that, and here's why. In those moments when your conscious brain is being activated by something that does not require its full participation, and your brain shifts into your unconscious mode, that's where your mind is wandering. That is a prime opportunity to hear the whispers of your divine guidance. So I invite you to utilize the low moments, let's call them that, of this broadcast today as meditation almost, and as an opportunity to hear the whispers of your divine guidance. Just a thought. I find it, I utilize this technique often when I myself am attending a conference or listening to a workshop or doing whatever, and I find it to be really useful and helpful. So I invite you to do the same thing. With all that said, my name is Julia Kline, as I have said, and I am a sales blockage remover. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that means, and more to the point, we are going to dive into some strategies for you to begin to remove your biggest sales blockages. I am as some of you may know, but some of you may not, I am the author of an Amazon best-selling book called The Entrepreneur's Guide to Sleaze-Free Selling. So I am extremely good at the tactical aspects of salesmanship, and I'm really good at teaching it, but excellent salesmanship is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to your sales blockages, why it is that you're not selling as much as you would like to be selling. And what's hidden beneath the surface of sleaze-free selling is, in fact, profound emotional, karmic, spiritual blockages to selling. And these are what we need to get at if we are going to clear these blockages for you and get you to a place where you are selling a lot more of your products and services, making a lot of money, making a difference in the world, all of that yummy stuff that you want, right? Some of these sales blockages that you might be experiencing might look like the following. I'm a terrible seller. I can't close. I hate to close. Or I just don't want to be pushy. Or I want people to like me. I don't want to be pushy. I want them to like me. I don't want to turn off my list or my friends or whoever. I want people to like me. Or I just don't even want to have to sell. I just want to show up, do my work, and have that be enough. Well, as we know, none of those are reality. And so when we clear the blockages that are underlying those statements, whatever it is that's kind of making you cringe when you think about selling and marketing and your business and so forth, everything kind of gets a little bit easier. All of a sudden, you don't hate selling quite as much. You feel a little bit more comfortable asking closing questions. You begin to get better results. You start to close more, make more money, make a bigger impact on the world with your products and services. Does that sound good? Does clearing your sales blockages sound like what you're needing, what you're in for, what you signed up for this morning? If so, great. That is what we're going to be talking about. And what I want to share with you is that in my practice as a sales and marketing coach and an energetic healer, I find that people's sales blockages fall into three primary categories. The first category is the tactical and practical sales blockages. In other words, they just don't know how to sell. You don't know how to overcome an objection gracefully and what's the word? Elegantly. You don't know how to transition smoothly from talking about the person's problems into asking for the sale. You don't know how to ask somebody to meet with you for a sales conversation without feeling like you're being pushy, you're going to turn them off or whatever. These are all tactical, practical skills that you can learn, right? And let's face it, I'm far from the only person on the planet that teaches sales skills. There's a lot of different places where you can learn these basic tactical skills. But it certainly is an area of big blockage for a lot of people. They don't know these things. And part of the reason, in my opinion, why these tactical strategies, because even as I was saying them just now, notice your own body and think back, roll back your own tape, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and notice how you reacted as I said those things. And in case you didn't notice, let me try it again. As I said, you might not know how to elegantly ask closing questions or transition from the discussion about their problems into the discussion about your sale. Or you might not know how to overcome objections in a method that is supportive and nurturing as opposed to pushy and obnoxious. So as I talk about these things like closing questions, overcoming objections, what happens? What's your reaction? Do you feel like, oh, God, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to do that. I hate all that stuff. Well, my belief is that yes, for many of you who are listening today, that is exactly your reaction. And my theory about the reason that you react that way relates to the second category of sales blockages. And that is far more esoteric, and it relates to the resistance that you have to salesmanship itself. And this gets very deep when we talk about your resistance to selling, your resistance to money even, which might sound paradoxical, like, wait, I don't resist money. Really? Think about what your tapes are in your head about money. Do you say stuff to yourself about money that maybe is not so supportive? And while these resistances do have an emotional and intellectual aspect to them, certainly, they are much more, there's a much deeper level to them. And the real point is that the way to fix them, the way to clear them, is energetic and spiritual, with the type of transformational energetic work that I do. We're going to talk about that a little bit more today, because when you simply clear, when you sizzle those blockages, all of a sudden that's where you get the shifting attitudes towards sales that I was mentioning before, that you all of a sudden don't hate selling quite as much. Now, so right now, if the idea of asking closing questions and overcoming objections kind of makes you go, ah, well, and you don't even want to like learn sales tactics in the traditional way, you know, like there's all kinds of people out there, Brian Tracy and all kinds of other ones, Zig Ziglar, who, you know, plus a whole bunch of more modern names as well, who teach sales training. If you don't even want to go down that road, it's because of these esoteric, energetic blockages around these issues of money, selling, success, that we can clear energetically, transformationally, and have you be in a whole different place with your attitude towards it. The third category of sales blockages stems from the fact that you don't really believe in what it is that you're selling. And you might say to yourself, well, that's not my problem. I totally believe in what I'm selling. Stay with me on this one when I tell you that anybody who is not selling like gangbusters has a problem in this third area of not really believing in what you sell. And we're going to go much deeper into that, so that I'm going to explain, because you might believe in what you sell, but there's a lot more to it that we're going to get into, and you're going to see what I mean. How certain, in certain aspects, in certain facets, you don't actually believe really, really in what you sell. And that is the blockage that is the most significant. And we're going to, and that's one that we're going to primarily talk about today, because it is the blockage that most business owners say to me, I don't have that problem. I completely, yeah, I understand this. I don't need help in this area. And it's almost never true. In my experience coaching with business owners over the years, nobody ever, unless they've really done profound work on this, really believes in what they sell, and really has an understanding of how transformative their work is for their clients, and really, really is connected to that. And when people get connected to this core, visceral, integral, unshakable belief about what they're worth, what their products and services are worth, how impactful they and their work can be on the lives of their customers, selling is an entirely different ballgame. So before we get started in that, I want to check. I see some comments are coming through. I just want to check real fast here. Ruth, you're saying you thought this was supposed to be about discovering who your best customer is. Yes, we're getting to that. And that is, that's a great segue into where we're going with this, because the essence of making more sales, finding more customers and leads, is tied into this idea of believing in what you sell, which is also intimately tied into this idea of who your best customer is. So to explain all this and get this out of the amorphous and into something more practical, let me give you an example. And that is that, let's talk about, let's imagine that you're a florist. And you're a florist and sales are not great. Business is not good. And so you sit at your counter all day watching the door not opening, and you're thinking to yourself, this sucks. Flowers suck. Nobody wants to buy flowers anymore. In this economy, nobody has money for flowers. This was a terrible business to go in. I suck because I picked such a lousy business in this terrible economy, right? In other words, this florist essentially doesn't believe in what they sell. They don't fundamentally believe in what they sell. Now, let's switch this around and imagine that this florist is had the good fortune to open up, or maybe they intentionally opened up shop next door to a bridal consultant. And the bridal consultant sends referrals all day, every day to the florist. And so the florist, this florist, the cash register is ringing like crazy, and there's sales all day, every day, and they're big orders because these are flowers for weddings. And this florist is thinking to themselves, my God, this is amazing. Flowers are essential, and flowers are the fundamental thing that really makes a wedding special, and people want flowers. Everybody needs flowers. Boy, am I clever to have picked the floral business to get into, and I'm so good at sales. Look at this. I'm just ringing up sales left, right, and center. Totally different approach, and they're basically selling the same thing. They're basically both selling flowers. The first person, who has no sales, doesn't have any belief in the flowers. They think to themselves, nobody wants flowers. Nobody can afford flowers. Flowers suck. The second person thinks, flowers are amazing. Everybody needs flowers. Flowers, yeah, okay, maybe they're a little bit pricey, but you need them, and they're so beautiful, and they bring so much, they add so much to the experience of the wedding. They're essential. Everybody wants flowers. Same basic product, totally different belief structure. And what is different between these two? And this is where we get to your question, Ruth, about your customer. Because you might say, well, the main difference is that the second person is selling to brides, and of course, brides need flowers. But the first person, who are they selling to? I didn't say anything about that, did I? The first business owner did what so many business owners do and simply hung up their shingle without really thinking about who's going to buy these flowers from me. Who is my best customer? And now, that right there is kind of salesmanship 101. You've heard that before, but let's take it a little bit deeper and begin to think about this in a way that you have not maybe thought about this before. And this is where we're going to start to make a big impact on your approach to sales and selling and finding good customers and identifying who your best customer is. And that is this, that what really happened here is, yes, the one person said, I'm going to sell to brides, and the other person didn't think about that at all. But really, what's going on is the person who's selling to brides is addressing a problem that the brides have. And this person understands how important flowers are to the wedding. And he or she understands how much brides love their flowers and how it just is not a perfect wedding without the flowers. And let's even take it a step further. Let's imagine that this florist who serves brides actually happens to be well versed in the language of flowers, the secret language of flowers. And so this florist is able to talk to brides about how yellow flowers symbolize loyalty, whereas blue flowers symbolize fertility, and certain species of flowers create different messages. And so they're able to actually talk to the bride about how you can express what's in your heart towards your husband, towards your mother-in-law, towards your maids of honor, in a secret way that only you and the florist know about, because you are utilizing the secret language of flowers. And you're injecting energetic energy into your wedding and your life and your relationships with all these people by utilizing the secret language of flowers. Okay, so that is, and the problem that the person is solving in this case is is one where the bride really wants something special to go on with her wedding. And the first florist didn't even begin to think about anything like that. So let's take this into your lives, your businesses here. And the essential component of identifying who your best customer is and therefore being able to sell a lot more to them without feeling sleazy or pushy or obnoxious is to precisely identify the problem that you solve. And again, I know that you're thinking to yourself, this is salesmanship 101, Julia. I know this. I've heard this before. I know what problem I solve for my customer. And I promise you, you don't. If you are not selling as much as you want to be selling, and if you're not feeling really great about your sales process, a huge part of the problem is that you don't actually know the real problem that you solve. Put another way, you don't really believe in what you do. So, circling back to that statement, you might believe in what you do in a general sense. You might think, oh yeah, I have these great tools and I create tremendous results. But if your belief in what you do does not directly translate into your ability to sell effectively and persuasively and hard, then somewhere there's a disconnect. You don't believe in what you sell relative to who it is that you're selling it for, i.e., you don't know exactly what problem you're solving and who has that problem. Now, let me share with you a distinction that's going to start to help you to see why this issue of the problem that you solve is so much more complex than you may have thought of it was before. And that is that your customer actually has 3 problems. And in understanding these 3 problems, that you are now able to accurately address the problem that they have that you solve in such a way that it makes it far easier for you to sell lots and lots of your products and services without feeling sleazy or pushy or obnoxious or rude. The first problem, and you want to write these down, of course, the first problem that your customer has is the surface level problem. This is the problem that they are thinking about. It's the problem that they know they have. It's the problem that they speak out loud regularly when they're complaining in their own heads, when they're talking to their husband or to their sister, or when they are typing it into Google looking for a solution to this problem, right? My muffler is making noise, or my kid has a rash, or I have a headache, or my business isn't doing very well. I don't have enough leads. I don't know where to get customers. I don't have enough customers and leads. And this surface level problem is the first problem that your customers have. And what's important about this problem is that when you, in all of your marketing, you must describe that problem, the problem that your customers know they have. And what's really important, this is a writer-downer as well, you have to describe it in the words that your customers actually use. For example, on last night's webinar, Jen was with us, and we went through this exercise, and Jen wrote down that she, gosh, what were some of the phrases that you used, Jen? Shoot, I can't remember what you said, but she, darn it, I can't remember. Maybe type it in. if the one about pain. And so Jen said, yes, my customer's surface level problem is blah blah blah, and she used a very technical term. And in reality, her customer's problem is that they have pain. They've got knee pain, back pain, foot pain. And it's so important, and hopefully Jen will post the phrase so you can see the difference. So it's very important when you're talking about this surface level problem that you use the words that your customer is already using. You got to get inside their head, say the things that they are already saying. Now this will become a little bit more clear as we talk about the second problem that your customer has. And that second problem that your customer has is the problem that you, the expert, understand is the real problem or the underlying cause. And this is where experts and business owners go completely awry in their sales messaging. This is where when business owners say to me, I know what my customer's problem is, and I do a good job of explaining it to them and how I'm going to solve it for them. Almost always, what you're actually doing is you're describing the second problem. You're describing what you, the expert, understand is the real problem or the underlying cause. And it's way beyond what the customer cares about, or more importantly, for our current discussion, it's much more than what they need to hear in order to say yes to buying your products and services. So let's think about it another way. This second problem that your customers have is it's the underlying cause, the real problem that you, the expert, know is the real problem. So therefore, it is the thing that you have to educate them about. You say, wait a minute, Julia, I thought you just told me that I can't talk about this underlying problem to my customers. Hold on. This is also where this idea of correctly identifying your customer's problem becomes more complex than what you might think it is on the surface. And that is this. When you are initially talking to your customers, when you're first meeting them at a networking event, when you're sending an email, when you're creating a flyer, whatever that initial little piece of marketing is that is initially getting your customer's attention, you have to stay focused on this first problem, the surface level problem. You have to use whatever the words are that they are using to describe their active problem, the thing that they are in search of a solution for. Once they say yes to your initial thing, so perhaps you get involved in a more in-depth conversation in the networking event, or they click through your email offer and now they're reading your sales page, or they're attending your webinar like you are doing today, or they've read your flyer and so now they've called your office or they've come into your store or your office. So now you're in phase 2 of your sales process, where it's a little bit bigger in terms of the energy that's there. They've made a little bit more commitment. They're in it a little bit more fully. There's less of an opportunity or less of a chance for them to go running away. Now is when you begin to educate them about the true nature of their problem. And of course, this is where you begin to plant seeds about how you solve the problem. So the initial marketing, the initial approach, the initial sales pitch has to be about their problem as they see it, with nothing about your expert jargon or any of that stuff. The second problem is the problem that you, the expert, understand is the real problem. And it is the one that once you have them a little bit closer to you, you've got them on the phone, they've come into your office, they're watching a training, they're reading a free report of yours, something like that, you're now educating them about the true nature of their problem and beginning to plant seeds for how you can solve that problem for them. And now we get into the third problem that your customer has, and that is their pain, their deep, hidden, unspoken, sometimes even unknown to them, emotional suffering as the result of this problem. And that third problem, when you understand that third problem, their pain, their suffering, the real reason that this is a problem for them, now that's when your sales and marketing becomes irresistibly persuasive. Now, so where do you inject your understandings about this third nature about their problem? That it does not necessarily get mentioned in any of your overt marketing. Certainly, it's not in your lead generation. It's not in your, your flyer, your email copy, your initial patter at a personal networking event. Certainly, you're not mentioning their deep, profound pain then. And even when you're talking to them a little bit more detail and you're explaining the underlying nature of their problem, you might allude to it. But the idea is that once you fully understand that essential pain that they are in, and you are then able to utilize words and language that express your empathy for that pain, it's just magnetically attractive. And I'm going to share one strategy with you that's quite practical in nature, and then we're going to talk about an energetic strategy for awakening this third level of understanding. And then we're going to do an exercise, and you're going to write out your answers to these 3 problems. So the practical approach to this, to getting at their pain, is the fact that for most heart-centered entrepreneurs, for most of us who do what we do out of passion, because we love it, because we have a mission and a passion and a purpose in life, most of the time, our business is the result. Let me back up. Most of the time, we ourselves have been on a path of enormous transformation, a path of tremendous pain. We have been through more than we at times thought that we could survive. But we survived. And we're now strong because of it. And we now find ourselves compelled to turn around and help the people who are coming behind us on the same path, who maybe aren't quite as strong as we are, who can't make it themselves, who need someone like us to guide them. And so this path of transformation, of first going through fire and being forged into iron ourselves, and then being compelled to turn around and bring others with us, it's part of our spiritual journey this lifetime. And it's why we're compelled. There's just a driving force inside of us that makes us have to do this path. When that's the case, by definition, your best customers are people who have been through the same things you've been through. And so the pain that they are in, that they are suffering from, is the exact same as the pain that you have been in your life. So when you are seeking sales copy, what do I say to get people to buy my stuff? Think about yourself. What did you need to hear? What would you have wanted to buy? What support would have been compelling to you when you were in this place on your journey? And that's on a tactical level, or I should say maybe that's phrasing it that way is an intellectual approach. Much more powerful, as we know, our intellects are the least powerful resource at our disposal. Our mind, our thoughts, not very useful for a lot of things. Much more useful is our heart, our gut, our overall body, our intuition, our guidance, are much more powerful and reliable sources of true and accurate information. And so what we're going to do right now, we're going to do a mini version of a process that I offer in my training program that's called Awaken Resonance with Your Customer. And so right now, all we're going to do here is I'm going to simply set the intention, and I'm going to direct the divine guidance that we already have with us to support you in this process. And you'll get a taste of what this is like. So, okay, first we're going to pause on that. We're going to not do that just yet. The first thing I'd like you to do is utilizing your intellect. I want you to write down what your surface level problem is, meaning what is the surface level problem that your customers have. So using your intellect, using your thoughts, using your logic, thinking about customers that you've had in the past, remembering what have they said to you when they called you, when they came in for an appointment, when they wrote you a testimonial about how great you were. What is the problem that is on the surface for the majority of your customers? And for the purposes of this exercise, it will be most useful if you can narrow it down. So try to not list all of the problems that your people sometimes come to you with. Try to focus to call to mind that problem which shows up most often or as the primary problem for a large percentage of your clients, your past clients. So I'll give you a moment to write that out. About another 15 seconds. Okay, so now that you've written out the surface level problem, the pain that your customers are in, that they are actively talking about, using the words that they themselves use to describe their problem. Now, shift to the second problem that your customers have, and that is the problem that you, the expert, understand is the real problem or the underlying cause of their problem. And as you think about this, think of, to help you write this out, think that this is the problem that you're going to have to educate them about. So as you go through your sales process and you're educating your customers, what are you educating them about? Yet another way of thinking about this is, why would they hire you? Why would they buy from you? Given their other choices, given their other alternatives, really and truly, why would they buy from you? What is it about you that makes you a better solution for their problems than other solutions that they might think about? So that's the second problem that your customer has, the underlying cause or the real problem. And kind of as a side note, it is the thing that you are uniquely well suited to solve for them, more so than anybody else, anyone else they could hire, any other solution they could tap into. I'll give you a moment to write that out too. Okay, so now you've written out the first two problems. Now we're going to work on the third problem. But before you begin to write, we're going to do this mini abridged version of this energetic process to help you. And so I want you to close your eyes. And I am about to ask you a question. And when I ask the question, you will immediately get an answer. Notice that first answer and trust it. And the question is this: who is your best customer? You might get an actual person, one person that represents or embodies your best customer. And what I want you to do, now that you have an image in your mind of a person that represents your best customer, I want you to begin to write. Actually, before we do this, let's do the invocation. So, guides and angels, help us in this process right now. And beyond helping us for those who are here present, what we are now doing is we are now awakening resonance with our best customer. So I ask you to reach out to the guardian angels and higher councils of these specific additional people who everybody watching now has identified as their best customer. And if permission is available, we invite the higher council and guardian angels of these other people to now join us and offer their wisdom and insight into the heart of all these additional people. If permission is not available now, that's no problem. Thank you anyway for asking. But now, as we have the guardian angels and higher councils of not only those of us who are watching, but also of the best customers who you have named here to support us. Now, set the intention that the information you are about to receive and write down on your paper is coming from other than your rational brain. Set the intention now that you will hear or feel or simply write what is in your best customer's heart. And this knowledge is coming to you through your guides, your intuition, your heart, your gut. And we're shutting down the intellectual brain right now. So in this place now, I invite you to write, what are all of the problems that this person has? And write down all of them. Don't think just about the problems that he or she has that you solve. You're feeling this customer's heart. So allow yourself to receive an understanding and an empathy of all the pain that's in his or her heart. All of the problems, all of the pain. Write it all down. You might write things like, I'm going to give you a few examples and I'll be quiet for a bit so you can write it down. You might write things like, she feels lonely. She's aware that her children are growing up and going off to college and afraid that she doesn't know what she's going to do next. She doesn't have as many friends as she would like to have. So on and so forth. I feel like you get it. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do this exercise. If you start to run dry, try asking your customer, what's the pain that you're in? Tell me what hurts. And trust that she or he will tell you. And write it down. Okay, I can feel that most of you are loving this and that lots and lots is flowing out of your pen. But simply in the interest of time, I'm going to ask you to put a bookmark on this, and that if you are enjoying this exercise, certainly you can return to it when this broadcast is over, by all means. And so what I'd like to do now is for one or two of you to, well, you can all share, but I'll have time to give individual feedback to one or two of you. So type into the comments, and just so that I'm very clear about what you're addressing, type in, problem number 1, or the surface level problem is, and write it down. And then type in problem number 2, or the surface level, or the second problem is, and then write down the third one. I'm so sorry, there's suddenly noise outside the window, and I hope that that's not interfering with everything. And then write down, and the third problem, the pain that my customer is in, is as follows. And go ahead and write that into the comments, and I will, like I said, I'll give one or two of you some individualized feedback. I'm going to go close the door so we don't have that noise. So we're now getting to enjoy the wonderful effects of the Google Hangout delay, because as I requested for you to put your comments and feedback in, and we're having to wait for you to hear me to say that, and now you got to spend some time typing it in and all that sort of thing. So while we're waiting for a couple of you to type in comments that share with me the work that you've done here, the answers to these questions, let me take a moment to tell you a little bit about how you can get some additional support from me beyond this broadcast. And there are two things that I actually want to talk about. The first one is specifically an extension of this sales and marketing coaching. You're about to experience a little bit of what kind of individual feedback I can provide to you, and if you like it, if you think that it's kind of cool, and you think that having access to me on a regular basis, and also this whole idea of blending analytical, tactical strategies with spiritual exercises and practices, if you think this is kind of a cool approach, I have an online training program that does this in spades, and it's a 4-module course called Transform Your Business and Your Life from the Outside In. And it talks, on the surface, it looks like a sales and marketing program, just like this webinar. On the surface, looks like a sales and marketing thing. The 4 modules are follow-up marketing, lead generation, clearing sales blockages, and closing the sale. Those are the 4 modules. But much like this broadcast, it is not simply teaching you sales and marketing tactics. Rather, it is providing you with insights about how the sales and marketing tactics that you may have learned before need to be reevaluated or nuanced in order to work for you. And also, I blend spiritual practices like this. There's this process that we just did, this Awaken resonance with your ideal customer. I have an entire 20-minute process in the course that takes this to a whole new level, and we actually take it beyond what we're doing right now. Is we're utilizing it to have your customer write about the pain that she's in. In the course, we actually utilize this exercise to craft sales copy. So when you're in this warm, wonderful, connected, heart-centered space of really, really feeling your customer's pain, then we switch into writing out sales copy that you can actually use in your marketing pieces. So, there's the modules. The course is all available online, and if all you want is the online access to these kinds of trainings and audios and all that sort of stuff, that's available for $247. And you get all the online access 24/7. You have it forever, and it's really super valuable. And it takes your business to a whole new level in the similar kind of ways that this webinar this morning has done. And if you want to kick it up a notch and receive one-on-one feedback from me every week, I also do offer a weekly group coaching component as an add-on. And if you want the group coaching component as an add-on, that is an additional $247 for a total of $497. So more information and to register for that program is available at intuitivebusinesswoman.com/group for group training. So my website, intuitivebusinesswoman.com/group. That's one thing I want to talk to you about, is getting more kind of sales and marketing strategies combined with spiritual practices. The second thing that I want to offer to you is a workshop that I do called Clear Your Money Blockages. And this is an evening workshop that I do. It's just about 2 hours. And it also combines tactical, analytical approaches to managing your money better, along with I offer my 7-figure transmission, which is this energy that I spontaneously started channeling a 1.5 years ago, which just completely sizzles and clears your sales blockages. And I was alluding to it earlier today in this webinar when I was talking about how whatever your sales blockages are, whatever the resistance is, it can be cleared, it can be addressed with the transformational energy work that I do. And this workshop, Clear Your Money Blockages, specifically clears any of the resistance that you might have towards money itself. And the results are simply off the hook. Half of the people who have attended this workshop have had results astounding enough that they bothered to write and tell me about it. And while nobody has ever asked for a refund, I do offer a full money-back guarantee that if you do not manifest at least the ticket price, which is $97, it costs $97 to attend this workshop, and it's both live and online, by the way, just like this is. So, just like this, you can attend online. And if you don't manifest out of clear blue sky at least $97 within 3 weeks of the workshop, I'll give you all your money back. So it's completely no risk. You've got nothing to lose, and the people who manifest cash is just astounding. One woman sold double the number of gift certificates that she would have expected to sell during the same Christmas holiday. She attended a workshop back in December. Another woman said that her business is currently double. Another woman went home after the workshop and sold $800 worth of coaching strategies or coaching sessions in 2 days, which is just off the hook for her. She never sells that much in a 2-day period of time. Somebody else got a $500 Home Depot gift card mailed to her out of the blue for no apparent reason. Somebody else had some sort of a lawsuit that was going on that had, a year before she had given up ever getting any kind of settlement out of it. It was like off her radar screen. All of a sudden, a few days after the workshop, she gets a check for $1,500 for the settlement of this lawsuit. Somebody else is a coach, and she never before had received more than a $1,200 sale for her coaching services. 10 days after the workshop, she sold a $4,500 package. So she earned an additional $3,350 beyond what she had ever sold before 10 days after the workshop. And she said in her testimonial that she 100% attributes it to the workshop. And then the most astounding of all, after our most recent workshop, one woman, she texted me 8 days after the workshop and said, "My heart is pounding as I am writing this to you. I got a piece of junk mail from JP Morgan that was addressed to my late husband. So I called him up to say, stop sending me junk mail. And the man said, ma'am, we only send that piece of mail to account holders. And she said, I don't have any accounts with you. My husband doesn't have any. He died years ago. We settled the estate. All accounts are closed. I have nothing. Stop sending me mail." He said, hold on a second. He came back on the phone and said, ma'am, we have an account here that you are the beneficiary of, and it has $45,000 in it. She said, oh my God, I don't even know what to say. She said, I've been struggling so much in the years since my husband died with my 3 little kids, and now I have $45,000 that I had no idea even existed 8 days after the workshop. And not only did it happen right after the workshop, but in case you think, oh, that's just a coincidence, of the people who attended the last workshop, 75% of them opened the first homework email. 75% of them opened the second homework email, because of course there is a little bit of homework you got to do. It's not much. It's 5 or 10 minutes a day. No big deal. But only one person opened the third and the fourth homework email. Who do you think that person was? It was Therese. So it just so happened, big coincidence, that the one person who opened all of her homework emails and presumably did the homework is the one person who received $45,000 that she never knew existed before. So that workshop is coming up on Friday, June 27th from 7 to 9 p.m. And you can attend live here in Chicago, or you can stream it live over the internet just like this. And by the way, the $45,000 person streamed live, or streamed over the internet. So it absolutely works, even if you're not here live. And to register for that event, again, it's $97. You can go to my website, intuitivebusinesswoman.com, and in the menu bar, there's a list for community events. And in the drop-down, there's Clear Your Money Blockages, Chicago, June 27th. You can go ahead and register for that. So, with that commercial for those two events over, I see that a couple of you have made comments, so let's go ahead and see what each one of you have said and give you a little bit of feedback here. So Ruth, on the surface level is memory and energy decline. Second level is people are toxic and emotionally less than satisfied. And third level is their lack of awareness of how to be healthy, happy. Okay, so let me feel into this here. There's surface level. Okay, so what they say is, I'm losing my memory. I'm not as energetic as I used to be. And what you are aware of is that it's because of toxicity, and also because it's because they are emotionally less than satisfied. So the things that you're educating them about are the fact that they need to rid their bodies of toxicity. And by ridding their body of toxicity, that's going to improve their memory and give them more energy. And I presume also that you have some sort of a practice that will fuel them emotionally and make them feel more emotionally satisfied. And that also is going to improve their memory and give them more energy. Okay? And then the third level is their lack of awareness of how to be healthy or happy. Okay, so the first two I would say are real strong, but the third one, remember, what we're going for is pain. And so the pain that somebody is in, what she's struggling with, what she's lying awake at night suffering with, is not a lack of awareness about how to be healthy. Okay? And maybe this is just, you know, because you're trying to be shorthanded here in the comments, but I would say that the pain that somebody is in around these things is something more like, for somebody who is suffering, if her surface level problem is that my memory isn't as good as it used to be and I don't have the energy that I used to have, her pain underneath is things like, I'm getting old, or I'm afraid of dying, or I wish that my life had more vitality, and you know, what kind of a life is this? I feel like I'm shriveling up before my time, and what kind of a life is that? I don't want to just be existing and sitting on a couch and feeling like I have to, you know, rest all the time, or feeling like I'm too overwhelmed, or I've got too much on my plate and I can't take things on. I want to be living a life of vitality and purpose. I've got a lot. I thought that I had a lot of life left. What's going on here? If I don't have energy and vitality, and I'm taking a back seat to my own life. This feels terrible. On a different tack, maybe some of the pain that she's feeling is things like you know, I can't keep up with my kids, or my husband is still active and vital, and I'm afraid that he's not as sexually turned on by me anymore, or our sex life isn't as great as it used to be because of how little energy I have. I think those things are more along the lines of pain that that your person would be suffering from. Okay. Christina, I see that you're Ruth. Okay, your life is passing me by. What happened and how do I get it back? Yes, exactly. You're on the right track. Very good. All right, so Christina, her surface level problem is I don't know how I can bring life to my vision. So in other words, I don't know how I can manifest like I can see it, what I think I want, but I don't know how to manifest that. And what I would encourage you is to work on, and again, I get it that you're typing here, so you might be using less words than you would if we were speaking about it, but I am going to suspect that your customers don't actually say, I don't know how to bring life to my vision. That's probably a phrase that you use to summarize what their problem is. Really important for you is to think about what are the words that your customer actually uses. And maybe it's something along the lines of what I said. It's stuff like, I can see what I want for my life, but I don't know how to make it happen. Or I've got all these great ideas, but I never seem to make any of them, I never seem to take action on any of them. Okay? So, and there's a lot of value and power in figuring out exactly, okay, thanks, Ruth, bye. I see that you said you need to leave. There's a lot of, Christina, there's a lot of value and power in drilling down to exactly what are the words that your customer is using. Because I think that the two examples that I don't remember what they were, those were downloaded examples, but they sounded to me as I was saying them like they were kind of different. And so you're describing slightly different problems, but if you realize, oh yeah, one other way of describing it, actually, that's really more the essence of it. And once you identify that and focus in on that with your marketing and your sales, that's where it starts to become more effective because you are precisely identifying the exact thing that you do. Okay? Problem number 2, they're playing small, and blind spots are their limiting beliefs. Okay, so I think what you're saying is that they have limiting beliefs and they don't know where they are. They don't know, they can't see what their limitations are, much less can they clear those limitations or get beyond them. And knowing what I've recently learned about you and your business, this idea of pushing past your limitations, I think is, and maybe you totally know this, but this whole idea of pushing past limitations that seemed to be rigid, hard, unsurmountable limitations is your specialty. And I don't know to what extent you talk in your sales copy or in your marketing language or whatever about your experiences as a physical therapist with causing outrageous breakthroughs, like would have been unbelievable breakthroughs in people's physical bodies, and that now you do the same thing in breaking through their perceived limitations that are mental, spiritual, emotional, or whatnot. Again, I don't know if you make that correlation in your sales copy. If you don't, I think that'd be a great thing to do. That's really juicy and powerful. And also, I would imagine that the people who are your best clients have some either physical limitation themselves, or they have a life experience, a family member, a relative that makes them very viscerally connected to the, I'll say, tragedy of physical impairment, of physical handicap, of physical disabledness, whatever. And so I think, this is my intuition speaking here, that by injecting language about how you are trained to break through physical limitations, you might actually like laser in on your right customer. The people who will most resonate to you will hear that and and say and perk up and become more attracted to you and more likely to do business with you when you inject that language. So just my intuitive hit on that. Feel free to type in some comments about what you think about that advice. I would love to hear what you think. Okay, third problem, she's stuck. She feels isolated, guilt, shame, unforgiveness, lack of acceptance. Okay, good job of identifying emotions that certainly are would be the source of a tremendous amount of pain for the person who is feeling them. And again, it's more valuable if you are able to put more words rather than just labeling, listing adjectives or emotions. Flesh them out a little bit so that we feel more deeply, really, what is this pain about? I think that would be very useful for you. Okay, so we're already at 11:15 here Central Time, so we've been going for a little bit over an hour, and I want to respect your time. So we're going to start to wrap things up here. Certainly, we're not quite done, but I know we've got this delay thing, so I want to invite those of you who I've shared some feedback with to share back with me in the comments. What did you think about this? Or any of the rest of you who didn't. I see you, Christina. Don't worry. Take your time. I'm going to riff here for a minute. So write out what you need to write out, and then we'll talk via this method here. And the rest of you who, if you did not type into the comments anything about your answers to your problems, feel free to do so, or share with me your feedback and reactions as you've listened to me provide some coaching and advice to the others who I have given feedback to. And again, I would love to invite you to join me for additional support that I'm able to offer. To summarize or remind you again, the one invitation that I'm extending to you is for you to attend my next Clear Your Money Blockages workshop, and that's going to be on Friday, June 27th from 7 till 9 p.m. Central Time, right here in downtown Chicago. And you can also attend it live, I'm sorry, online, streaming, just like this event is being streamed online. And there also is a recording of that event. So if by chance you are not able to attend live, but you want to listen to the recording, then that works too. That's great. That's fantastic. And then the second offer that I wanted to remind you of, call your attention to, is my Transform Your Business and Your Life from the Outside In. It's my sales and marketing training program that blends tactical sales and marketing strategies with spiritual practices and understandings. Much as we've done today, you've gotten a small taste of how I do this. And if you loved it, thought it was cool, think that this could be the key to unlocking your struggles with sales and marketing overall, I invite you to join me. That online program is available 24/7. It's audios and worksheets and action plans and all kinds of stuff, much like this today, without receiving feedback from me. So if you're somebody who's been listening and doing the exercises and getting value, but not getting back and forth feedback from me, that's what the online course is all about. And that's just $247. And you can register at intuitivebusinesswoman.com/group. Or if you think that my feedback and the back and forth with me is pretty cool and is a value add, then you can get in on 3 months of weekly group coaching with me that gives you a chance every single week to get this kind of feedback from me about whatever you're working on for just an additional $247. So it makes a total of $500. So, and in case all that was confusing, don't worry, I will be sending out another email or two in the next, over the weekend, kind of summarizing those offers and encouraging you to join me. So, with that, I see, Christina, you've made a few comments. You're saying, I'm afraid I will live a life unlived. That's good. So actually, I find that interesting that the two people who I gave feedback today have customers who are suffering from a lot of the same kind of pain. of being afraid that I will live a life unlived, that what did you say, Ruth, is the final one? Life is passing me by. What happened? How do I get it back? So perhaps that's a theme. Maybe some of the rest of you who are watching here today found that that was some of what came up for you when you were doing this exercise as well. So with that said, I think we're just about ready to wrap up. But if there's any last comments or feedback or questions that you would like to share or get my responses to, please feel free to put them into the comments over here on the side. And I think that even after I stop the broadcast, the comments can still come through, so I can still see and hear, or I guess I can read your comments. And once the broadcast is, if they come through after I actually end the broadcast, I'll actually type out responses for you, so you can feel like that wasn't for naught. So with all that, it looks like the comments are kind of slowing down here, so we're going to get this wrapped up. Thank you so much for joining me here for part of your Friday morning. I trust that this has been enlightening and enjoyable and kind of a whole new way for you to think about your business and like, oh, wow, yeah, I guess that maybe the fact that I'm not doing this spiritual stuff in my sales and marketing, maybe that is, you know, the secret to what the problem is here. I trust that this has been valuable and interesting, and I look forward to having you join me in either the Clear Your Money Blockages workshop or join the group coaching program. I look forward to having you on the next call. And with that, we're going to say goodbye. Thanks, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your Friday and the rest of your weekend.